So with this one, I think I am now officially the software which came bundled with action figures tuber. The Starfleet Academy toy line came out in 1996. We had actually seen Starfleet Academy a few times in the show. This is where all the Starfleet officers go to school to, choose their area of expertise, what they're going to be when they grow up to be a Star Trek. We'd even seen a couple of flashbacks of the senior bridge crew in their time at the Academy. What this line doesn't do is tie into the Interplay PC game of the same name. That actually came out a year later. What I think is interesting is the Starfleet Academy figures were the last Star Trek figures to be released in this scale. So really, they're kind of the culmination of all of the lessons which Playmates had learned throughout the years. Breakthroughs in sculpting, in toy engineering, in the paint applications, all that stuff. Star Trek toys were, pretty crap by comparison to other people's toys, but I mean that in a nice way. I think they were very, very charming, but they genuinely did get better and better as the toy line rolled on. The Starfleet Academy line in particular only consisted of 4 figures. This was Picard, Riker, Worf, and my boy Geordi here. All of them come in their cute little quilted space pajamas, and obviously the big standout gimmick of this toy line is the Omnipedia Starfleet Academy CD-ROM. I picked mine up at the NEC Toy Fair while out toy shopping with my good mates Josh from Panels to Pixels and Dobbsy from, Dobbsy. I love finding toys like this, just random obscure toys that are for some reason still mounted on the card after all these years, and then what I love to do is to take them off the card. I do not think that it's right that a toy should be locked away in that plastic prison. You got to let them out. You got to let them breathe. Each one of the 4 Starfleet Academy lads have these sort of clip-on armor pieces and a few little accessories to help sell the whole concept of them being students. What I think's really good is these toys have loads more articulation than their competitors. They've got way more articulation than the Power of the Force line from Star Wars, that sort of thing. They don't have the thigh pivot that a lot of the later Star Trek figures had, but I think that's probably just down to the fact that they have these armor plates. So really, all good. And once you've got him all set up, look at him. He really looks the business. I really love the metallic paint apps here on his little comm badge. I think that's a great little bit of detail. And also the visor, that's super iconic. I will say that the paint job on the promo shots on the back of the packaging is actually a lot better. I think this wasn't particularly uncommon for the time, but also I just really like my little guy here. I think he's doing really well. Another great standout thing from the Star Trek toys is they all came with these little display stands, and that is absolutely genius. I wish more toys came with these little display stands. It is a little bit hard to get him to display holding his little purse there, but other than that, he stands up and he displays really, really well. I did read an article about how Playmates said they found it really hard to sell girl toys in the Star Trek line. They never really managed to sell many units of those. But I would have loved a Tasha Yar in this line in some kind of wrestling getup or something. Or even better yet, Ro Laren with I don't know, a surfboard? Maybe? So the first thing I want to talk about is this mauve envelope. And I think that just really sells the concept of what they're doing here really well. It could have just been in a plain white envelope, nobody would have complained, but just that additional attention to detail, that little purple galaxy on there. Yeah, I love that. The second thing I noticed is the Simon & Schuster logo. Simon & Schuster had been publishing Star Trek books for 15 years or so at this point, and just the year before they'd published these FMV Star Trek games called Borg and Klingon, which I had completely forgotten about until making this video, so yeah, they're now definitely on the Trello board. The Star Trek Omnipedia was something which Simon & Schuster were already publishing. It was a big box retail CD-ROM encyclopedia. It was exactly the kind of thing that we saw a lot of during the CD-ROM era. It combined 2 print books, the Star Trek Encyclopedia and the Star Trek Chronology. There were 3 versions of the Omnipedia. Each one was released to update the entries as new shows and films were coming out. The Mini Omnipedia, which came with these action figures, I'm pretty sure was a promotional tool to promote the 2nd edition of the big box Omnipedia. This included both Deep Space Nine and Voyager episodes, as well as having online connectivity, which is pretty cutting edge for the mid-90s. The little CD-ROM that came with this figure is essentially just a cut-down taster version of that to give you, a little preview of the full retail product. So anyway, let's get this thing ripped, let's get it installed, let's run it in PCEM, and let's give it a go. My immediate reaction is I absolutely love this presentation. I love how they've taken the same graphic design cues from the show. They've made it look like one of those terminals from the Enterprise. I love the fact that it has the little sound effects when you're clicking around the place, and I love that they have Marjorie Barrett's voice in this. I'm just absolutely made up already, and I've not really even started looking at what's even on this CD-ROM.
Accessing. Search complete.
I suppose on the face of it, it is just a big list of things. It doesn't have like an episode guide for the show. It is pretty much just a list of entries and a list of articles on stuff from Star Trek. So it has articles on places, on ships, on names and people and races. In today's world, this might actually seem extremely humble. This is the kind of thing we have wikis for these days. And truthfully, a wiki would have more information than this and is probably more accurate than this. But in the 90s, we did not have that. The early internet was really patchy. Not everybody even had it at home. Software like this was really our precursor to the wiki. These bridged that gap between the paper encyclopedias of our parents and the internet. And I absolutely love it. I've said this before about the Star Wars Insider's Guide. I would have spent absolutely hours poring over this if I'd had it as a kid. I had a few paperback books about Star Trek as a kid, and I just loved leafing through those. And being just such a big computer nerd in the 90s, this was absolutely my jam. No doubt you've seen in the background, I just spent quite a long time just scrolling through the list, just clicking through the articles, just kind of like finding things that captured my interest. Oh look, there's an article on Data. I'm flicking through looking at pictures of Data. I love the fact there's a whole thing of Gowron and I can see a picture of his crazy eyes. I just love seeing all these little low-res photographs of all these people. I don't know, there's something just really cool about that. I couldn't tell you what that is. But in truth, there is actually also a really comprehensive amount of information on here. It's not just something cute, it's actually like really impressive. As some of the entries even have short QuickTime videos, which honestly I think that's amazing. The fact that this is all on a single CD-ROM, I think that's extremely cool. Once I was done just passively browsing, I then thought I'll start typing some stuff in just to see if I can maybe find something really specific or find some obscure bits. And I was really hoping that I'd be able to find that sexy photo of Sulu when he's doing his fencing with his shirt off and he's like all greased up. And so I looked for fencing and it was there, which is just brilliant. I'm absolutely made up the fact I can see sexy Sulu all greased up. My favourite episode of Star Trek The Next Generation is Darmok, and again I was really hoping to see something about it, and holy shit, there's an actual video clip of Darmok at Tanagra.
The beast of Tanagra, Uzani, his army, Shaka when the walls fell.
The full retail version of the Omnipedia has articles and episode guides from every Star Trek film and every Star Trek series up to the release of the CD-ROM. They contained audio and video clips, and they even had this really rudimentary voice control so you could feel like you were, Jean-Luc Picard ordering the computer around, which is just so cool. This little mini Omnipedia is a lead-in to that, to essentially upsell you to go and buy a more expensive product. It gives me the vibe of something that probably would have come in a cereal box at this point in time. And in that context, I think this is absolutely wicked. I've had a lot of fun with this, and you know what? I think I need to track down a copy of the full thing. Who's up for a stream of that? As with all the other games and software that I've played which came bundled with toys and action figures, I have ripped and uploaded an ISO of this to archive.org. I've got a right little Stoked collection going on up there, so, go up there and check it out. I've got a lot of old PC games up there waiting for you to give them a second wind of their own. I've been saying that for a long time. Am I allowed to still say that? Is that even a thing? Before I go, one final shout out to the channel contributors. If you would like to see your name at the end of these videos, and if you'd like to support the channel, there are links in the description to help you with that. Keep your eyes peeled, because in the next weeks and months I'm going to be adding some new support tiers and some new ways you can help support the channel and also get some pretty sick rewards in return. That is it for this one. Live long and prosper, nerds. I'll see you in the next video.